Hey, I'm Ted Pierce, and my new album is called Zealous over Zion, and it's available on Galilee of the Nations Records.
I am zealous over Zion. I am zealous over Zion. I am zealous over Zion. I will dwell in Jerusalem.
I grew up in a small town called Vidor, Texas. It's run by the KKK. And along about the age of 15, I became an atheist because I just, found Christianity to be irrelevant to, what I wanted to do in life, which is I wanted to play rock and roll. I was already playing professionally in, bars and stuff around town before I was even of legal age to do so.
So arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. Arise and shine, for thy light is come.
Quite a few years later, I began to investigate the claims of Christianity in order to disprove it. I would go to the library and just study history. Now, I was fascinated with history anyway. It's always my favorite subject. So I thought it would be easy to disprove the Bible just by, reading it as a history book, And it is. It's the history of the world to the end of the world. So I read about a lot of the prophecies that I could confirm, things that had happened hundreds of years earlier, and would try to find, whether they were true or not. What that did was it played a trick on me. I started finding that I had to read the Bible more than the history books to see what it said. And reading the Bible led me to some conclusions that this definitely was a supernatural book, unlike Nostradamus or fortune tellers. This was exact and precise on its prophetic writings. And so that made me look at other claims towards the end of days. Some of this stuff was really scary because I saw a lot of these things happening now, like the restoration of Israel, the recapturing of Jerusalem, a lot of things that were for the end of days were happening, in my lifetime. So I'm over at a friend of mine's house, and I'm telling his wife about some of the traditions of the church that I'd found to be, pretty funny that Christians didn't even know, traditions that had nothing to do with the Bible. And she said, what are you going to do about it? And that question haunted me on my way home that night. And I thought, well, the first step would be to give Jesus an honest try. So I looked up into the sky and I said, Jesus, if you're real and you can prove it to me, then I will serve you the rest of my life. And instantaneously, I began trembling so hard that I couldn't drive. And my very first words after that was, God, maybe not so much at once. And I knew from that moment on that my life had been changed. I was born again in that instant just by, sincerely asking God to prove himself to me. Life has just been, an amazing journey ever since.
For behold, your King is coming to you.
When I read the New Testament and found that Jesus was something different than what I thought he was, then I knew I had to go to a church. A friend of mine had told me about a place called Baruch Hashem. It was a Messianic Jewish congregation. It was the very first place that I visited, and it was just awesome. You could just feel the love in the building when you walked in. The congregants just genuinely loved each other. So that's how I got involved with Messianic ministry. Once I was at Baruch Hashem, I decided I needed to sit under the teaching for about a year before I went back into any kind of music, because I'd always been a musician. And we put out a little cassette tape release back in 1992, but there really was no market for Messianic music back then until Yochanan at Galilee of the Nations came along.
Oh, hallelujah, bless the name Yeshua, for he is the name above all names.
The song "Bless the Name Yeshua" came first, and it was a song of worship and praise. It's probably the only song on the album that isn't taken directly from the scriptures. It's a prayer thanking the Lord for sending his son.
Hallelujah, bless the name Yeshua, Messiah gave his life in my place.
I believe that my purpose for being here is to reach the Jewish people with the knowledge of their Messiah and the love of God, and I try to encourage Christians to do the same. There are a lot of Christians out there who want to show their support for Israel. The best thing they can do is pray for their salvation and put legs to that love, and just go out and find tangible ways just to show the Jewish people, that we genuinely love them, and we're concerned and praying for their salvation.
He is humble and bearing salvation. So rejoice, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem.
The song Rejoice comes from the book of Zechariah. And it came to me like that. It's one of those songs that just happens really fast. It happened faster than I can write it down. It's a song of hope that your Messiah is coming to you, and he's humble and he's bearing salvation. And it was a pertinent and relevant message then, 2,000 years ago, and it's a relevant message now.
You prisoners of hope, today I declare, I restore double to you. So rejoice, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughters of Jerusalem, for behold, your King is coming to you. He is humble and bearing salvation.
The song Arise actually comes from Isaiah 60, and it's about how the glory of the Lord is seen upon Israel. Even though she has been in rebellion, God has always protected her supernaturally, and I think we can see that happening, throughout history and even to this day.
And the nations shall come unto thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about and see, they gather themselves all together. So arise and shine, for thy light is come.
So what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about obeying the Lord, whether it be serving my wife or teaching my children or singing this music. I'm also passionate about what God is passionate about. And right now his heart is beating for the salvation of the Jewish people. And I would like to encourage the church to pray for Israel and to feel God's heartbeat.